We're back at the line table with this week's Line Opinion panel. Former Supreme Court Justice Charles W. Daniels passed away recently, 8 months after retiring from the bench and barely 2 months after being diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. In a statement, current Chief Justice Judith Nakamura said, quote, "Our state has lost a titan of the law. From humble roots as the son of sharecroppers, Justice Daniels grew into a towering figure as an attorney and jurist who for a half-century tenaciously defended our constitutional rights and advanced equal justice under the law." That's a wonderful quote. Ed, this is a man who clearly impacted this legal community and then far outside of it. I want to take this just a little fast, just remembrances, but your best remembrances of him and your side of the world. You deal with the law and judges and things like that. What was your sense of Judge Daniels?
That's right. Justice Daniels was just an incredible colleague. He was just so committed to the practice of law and so committed to improving the criminal justice system here in New Mexico. The multiple conversations that I had with him were just so insightful. I was president of the Albuquerque Bar Association, and it was great to see him attend our functions because his stature just added to our community, and it really is such a big loss. During the time that I ran for district attorney just recently, we met up at multiple community meetings where it was clear that he was an advocate for improving our criminal justice system and bail reform. As a prosecutor, that was very important to how we see our role as prosecutors and enforcing the law.
Right.
Charlie Daniels, I mean, he is going to be missed, but he's left his mark too. I mean, he is in so many ways, and so highly respected, across the spectrum, whether by the community or the legal profession.
Good points there. Absolutely. Dee Dee had a chance to work with him, I'm sure, in a number of capacities. He was a very active person when it came to testifying in front of our legislature for things that he was strong about, as Ed just mentioned. I've always found that interesting about him. He was willing to roll his sleeves up and get in there.
On all levels, not just in the legislature, but he was at community meetings. He was there as a participant, not someone that was looking down from on high. He was mixing it up. He was listening to what was going on out there in the community, whether it came to guardianship, when it came to he was a criminal justice lawyer, and he was a civil rights attorney. He was a mentor. He was a law professor. He was really embedded in the community, and we are very, very lucky to have had him because he has, as you say, I think he has really left his mark on the community, and, befitting our community that you're not just a great judge, but you're also a race car driver. You're also a bass guitarist in a band that we dance to. I mean, that's a small state, and that's a real treasure for a public official. We're lucky to have had him.
I'm glad you mentioned his motor racing side of him. He's getting a lot of remembrances out there from the motor racing community in New Mexico, which is pretty big. And Charlie Daniels was a big part of that, too. And it's very interesting. I'm also curious from you, what was your sense of him? Let me ask another way. I've had a theory for a long time. I got this from my dad, actually, that he grew up poor, son of sharecroppers, and that informed his view of the world from the bench. Do you see what I mean? I think people who come from humble beginnings that way, when they get to that level of influence, do you feel that helps them in how they see the world, how they make decisions? You see where I'm going at with this?
Yes, I think it helps them when they get there, but I think more importantly, it helps them to get there because of having nothing and knowing that if you're going to have anything, you have to do it yourself. And I think his whole intensity, I had to chuckle. I saw this in several articles, the reference to him as a Renaissance man. I don't think I've ever known one except maybe Thomas Jefferson. But when you look at it and what he did, his whole life goes along that way. He was dedicated and absolutely sincere about his practice of law, intensely sincere. And then you come along, and I got to see Lawyers, Guns, and Money back in the old days. Had no idea that he was someday going to be the Supreme Court Justice. Right. But that enthusiasm and that excitement and that joy with which he did that, And then race car driving, honey, you've got to have a pure sense of abandonment if you're going to go out and race cars.
That's right.
And you take all of that and put that together, that came from his background, that came from his successes, and that came from his, as Ed said, his love of the law and the people of New Mexico.
That's right. That's right.
And Gene is
Interesting.
more of a jurist. He didn't like the idea of being referred to as a judge. And maybe he saw
Really?
himself as so much more. An incredible role as a jurist, but there were so many other parts of his life.
I'm glad you got that in. That's actually interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Julianne, I'm curious. How was he in your dealings with him with the press? Was he an open guy? Was he tough? Was he-
Yeah, certainly. You know, Jeff Proctor did a story with New Mexico in depth and reveal about the big bail bond issue. You know, and this is, of course, when you say things like a titan of law and you say things like a lasting legacy, this is what you're talking about. So Justice Daniels writes an opinion about a case that came before the Supreme Court in 2013, in which a man who had been charged with murder was being held on a bond worth, nearly the value of a house. And he took a real interest in that case. That was kind of the beginning of this activism and this, we've got to do something about the bail system. It's not okay for people to sit in jail for months and years while they await the achingly slow court system. It's especially not okay to do that just because people don't have a means to come up with money to get out. You're not supposed to be, your guilt or innocence shouldn't also be based on your bank balance. And so Justice Daniels works for years and years. He, as you said, testifies before the legislature. He gets, a lot of static for doing that, for sticking his neck out and being sort of an activist jurist, if you want to say that. And so when the citizens of New Mexico, when the voters, 86% of them said, we want this constitutional amendment change, I think that's some validity for his legacy, and great that he got to see that happen before this disease took him from us.
Absolutely. Really nice words, well said there. It's so hard to wrap these things up. A life like this, you try to consider it front to back. It's almost impossible when you think about it, how much influence one single person can have. So Ed, I want to ask you in the final question, has he given us a model for what we should expect for a Supreme Court justice in our state? Do you know what I mean? Any woman or man who attains this position, seems to me you've got a tough act to follow at this point. So
I think so, and it's really all about passion. It's about passion for what you do, and he had passion for a lot of different things in life, but he had passion for the law, and he had passion for justice, and ensure that people are all treated in a fair way. And so I think passion is part of that legacy, and it's that bar that he has established for those who are following in his footsteps.
That's right. That's exactly right. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate that. And of course, our thoughts here at New Mexico PBS are with Justice Daniels' wife, Randy, and his family and friends.